like to call the meeting to order for October 7th, 2020 for the Charlton Planning Board. Up first on our 7 o'clock agenda item is public hearing for AdMass 2 LLC, also known as Green Gold Group, for site plan modification and approval site plan to include adult recreation marijuana dispensary use located at 46 Worcester Road. So let me read the public hearing notice. In accordance with section 200-3.2, 200-7.1.d, and 207.2 of Charlton zoning bylaw, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, October 7, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom meeting. Meeting ID 89251377095 on the application of AdMass 2 LLC, also known as Green Gold, 46 Worcester Road, Charlton, Mass. 01507 for the modification of a site plan approval to include medical and recreational retail marijuana establishment. The applicant received a site plan approval to operate a registered medical marijuana dispensary in the existing building located at 46 Worcester Road and is now seeking a modification to convert its license to include retail sales of recreational marijuana and accessories. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: video participation, https://zoom.us/892-513-77095, meeting ID 892-5137-7095, phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the Planning Board office and the Town Clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website under Planning Board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. Ross Lanacy, Chairman, Charlton Planning Board. All right, Randy, you want to give us a quick intro and then pass it on to the engineer?
Yes, this is an application where previously Green Gold Health-Wise on 46 Worcester Road, they had come into the Planning Board in 2018, received approval for the sale of medicinal marijuana. They are now seeking approval for recreational marijuana. And condition 10 of their approval in 2018 was that they would come back before the board for a site plan modification to add recreational marijuana dispensary to their use on the property. Basically, the building itself is remaining unchanged and everything. I think the only issue they're really addressing here is based on the recreational use. They're addressing how they're going to handle the parking. Mike Andres from Graves Engineering submitted a report today, and I don't know if Chris McClure, I see he's on the meeting tonight, he's ready to address those complaints. We did not receive it till noontime today, so I don't know how prepared Chris was able to get for that. Chris, are you on? Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Chris, did you get the peer review notes today?
Yes, I did. Before I began, I didn't know if James wanted to start the process off. James, I can see you on, but I can't hear you if you're speaking.
I believe he's there.
Yes, he is there. We still can't hear you, James. Yes. For some reason, you're on two spots on the Zoom meeting, James. There's one that show you as blocked.
while we're waiting for James, Ross, can you, I just got a text, I believe it's from John. He says to take you off a hold, to take him off a hold. I don't see him though.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the power to do that.
Take him
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Oh,
Yeah, hello.
okay.
Is that John?
That is me.
Oh,
That is
hi.
me. Power down here. Plus power down here.
Oh,
Gotcha. We can hear you loud and clear now.
I'm in the bunker. In the bunker.
Loving it. Let's see if James has, Mr. McMahon has any, if he's clarified his issue. I don't see him listed anymore if he's trying to log back
trying to
on.
get back on. I'm letting you in. Tonight it's requiring me to admit everybody to the meeting, which I don't know why. So I just
I
let.
got you.
Guys, any luck hearing me now?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there he is.
Perfect.
All right, sorry about that. I just had to log out and log back in again, but I think that fixed it. So yeah, if I could just briefly give a quick update on a few other points that have happened very recently as well. So we actually found out on Tuesday that we're going to be approved for our final license from the CCC for recreational sales on Thursday. They have their monthly meeting on Thursday, so we're obviously very excited about that. Everything's been squared away on CCC side to the 500th degree. Chris can talk a little bit about the work we've done with DOT, but I know one of the concerns there was making sure that DOT was square with everything, given the issues they had with the original filing. Chris knocked that one out of the park. We sent it over to DOT. The response we've gotten back so far has been no comment, no change, and just work out a parking plan with the town, which is part of what we're doing tonight. I also met last night with the Marijuana Advisory Committee for their regular scheduled meeting. Presented a draft copy of our parking and traffic management plan to them for any feedback or review. Obviously as a non-voting, non-decision-making board, we didn't ask for any approval or anything, but just wanted to solicit feedback from stakeholders in town. There was a small concern from, I believe it's from the police department, about people jumping the queue and skipping the queue in line. We addressed that to their satisfaction. And then we've had our security Charette work with both as well as the fire department to review our draft parking and safety plan, traffic safety plan. And same thing, there were no issues, no comment, no changes. So biggest theme of the evening is everything's going to remain exactly the same. We've been operating there for almost a year now, just short of 11 months. We've had no police responses, we've had no public safety issues, we've had no traffic incidents fees. Haven't even had a fender bender in the parking lot or something like that. So we're going to take that tradition of the past 11 months of perfectly smooth sailing and look forward to carrying that forward into the future. So I'll turn it over to Chris to talk about some of the technical details, and then anything regarding either AdMass or Green Gold or anything else like that, I can jump back in. So thank you, Chris, for letting me lead off there.
Sure. So as Randy said, we did just receive Graves' comment, but prior to that, the transportation impact assessment that was done by Vanessa indicated that the project, we said the project would be the inclusion of the recreational marijuana sales, would not have a significant impact on motorist delays or vehicle queuing. It did recommend an additional 10 spaces for parking, which we are proposing in the lot for 5 Masonic Home Road. And those spots will be dedicated via a sign. So, and additionally, the sign out front of 5 Masonic, this outside of 5 Masonic, will indicate that that area is the excess parking or the parking for the Green Grove facility. So, plan was, as James mentioned, was sent to Mass DOT. We have gotten some, the District 3, we have gotten some comments back, and the comments were basically traffic has no additional comments based upon that impact analysis, and as was outlined in the traffic impact assessment recommendation for the traffic management plan during the during the initial period, which James just mentioned, they'd be working on to ensure smooth sailing in that initial period. The necessary officials. With regard to Graves reviews, and I don't know what the particular board is on these, on the comments. Obviously, this site was reviewed initially, which McClure was not involved with, but we did review the initial comments. Some of these are on there and some of them are not. But most of these seem immaterial in nature. Obviously, I say that as a representative of the applicant, but they may be able to be addressed in the conditions, along with planning board approval, if the board so, felt that was warranted, or else we'd have to, talk about those individually. And I don't know how the board would, wishes to address them. They just, we do an existing parking lot there. There are some comments relative to the size of that parking lot and the spaces that are required. The spaces would be lined appropriately, but it is an existing lot that has been used as a business for a number of years without any issues with. In fact, I did have an office there for 8 years and was very busy and never had any issues with doing parking in and out of that lot.
Yeah, so just to jump in real quick and talk a little bit about this traffic and parking management plan. This would really be for if there's a huge rush on opening weekend or something like that, which now that there are 65 dispensaries open across the Commonwealth, it doesn't even make page 10 news when a new one opens up. The traffic and parking nonsense that everyone saw 2 years ago, 23 months ago to be exact, when Leicester opened and the other, that was 2 years ago. It's completely changed. There's not the same demand and draw. I've sort of made it my refrain of just drive past Cultivate or Curaleaf down in Oxford. They're the same size as us, the same amount of parking. They actually sell our Green Gold product. We're not seeing issues there. We're not expecting to see issues here. What we have done to be proactive about it, however, because we always want to be a good neighbor, is we have rented some space. And I think we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting. But we've rented space across from Ted's Package. They have a spot that we can fit about 50 to 75 cars in there if need be. The plan would be medical and express pickup, as well as anyone who's mobility impaired or may have other issues with getting into the facility. They can park up front in what Graves has called the South Lot. We call it Lot A, but the lot directly in front of the building. That would be reserved for those uses. Lot B, which would be that north lot or the lot behind 5 Masonic Road, would be for any adult use customers who are coming in. What we would do is, these signs that we have, numbered 1 through 10, would be along facing Masonic Home Road, as well as one on the back, back there, because there's 9 spots up front, 7 in the back. So we'd have 1 through 9 up front. We'd have spot 10 in the back. As those spots become available, someone who is a lot attendant in the back lot would radio down to the satellite lot and say, spot 5 became available, please send up a car. Spot 5 would come up, a car would come up and fill spot 5. And then the lot attendant would radio into the cash wrap and say, hey, security, you have someone coming up, 1 individual walking in now. So that's a system that works for pretty much every other dispensary that's using it across the Commonwealth. It's still using satellite parking lots to manage traffic flow. We have attendants in each of the lots, making sure that everyone's safe, making sure that everything's parked, making sure that everything's going well. Another thing that we spoke with Chief Dowd about, and it was actually our suggestion, although he thinks it's a very good idea, was to have a detail officer there for that first weekend, just to keep everything smooth, make sure everything's good. I think that's probably the best case scenario for everybody, is to have a representative of Charlton's Public Safety there on site, not only to help us keep an eye on things, but also, can report back to the town in an objective fashion as to, what it actually looked like. And then, aside from that, we really just want to make sure that this is all done as smoothly as possible. And just to sort of set the stage, just so everyone knows, it's to our detriment as well if there's traffic issues, because given the fact that there's 65 dispensaries across the Commonwealth, if someone can't get a parking spot in ours, they're not going to sit and wait in line. They're just going to drive 5 minutes down the road to Cultivate or Curaleaf or any of the other spots. So if our lot backs up, I mean, we feel the direct financial impact of that immediately, because that customer is not going to hang around. They're not going to wait in line the way they used to. With multiple open in Worcester and multiple open in the area, they're just going to drive on down. So that's why we're trying to be so proactive about the parking. But Chris, just want to throw it back to you if there's other stuff there.
Yeah. So again, I think the biggest issue surrounding the change of use or the addition of the recreational use or sales is really traffic and parking impacts. And so I feel that James has addressed and that they're being looked at, and obviously we'll turn it over to the planning board if they have any other discussionary items.
One of the things I noticed in the Graves engineering plan, and only because he brought it up, I think we should probably address it. Sorry, I'm looking at where it mentioned the point if somebody came into the front parking lot at 46 Worcester Road, and because of the lot being full or whatever the case is, they might have to turn left onto Masonic Hill to go up to 5 Masonic Hill Road to use the other parking lot. What do you anticipate for the difficulty of doing that? Because that light does get backed up, you know, when the light turns red. It usually clears out every time it turns green, but that is just one point where there could be a little bit of a bottleneck. Or do you anticipate not having the kind of traffic flow that it's going to be a constant issue?
So I don't think I'm glad you brought that last point up. I don't think it's going to be a constant issue for a few reasons. Number one, just on a practical note, is the visibility of that front lot. You don't have to drive into it and look around to see if there's a spot. There's 13 spaces. They're all directly in front of the building. So if you're driving by and you see an open spot, pull in. If you're driving in and you don't see an open spot, it's going to be very easy to turn around the rear. But because of that system we've set up with a medical lot up front and a recreational lot in back, there's not really, you're either a medical or a recreational customer. So you're not going to be hopping between the two lots. That line queuing plan that we talked about of sort of shuttling between the lots, that would only be between the back lot and the front lot. There wouldn't be anyone being shuttled from the satellite lot to the front lot. So we wouldn't have an issue there. And then what we're going to do with that shuttling program is everyone who comes into that satellite lot gets a ticket, and you're not allowed into the back lot and you're not allowed into the store without that ticket. It'll be checked at each location. So that prevents someone from just driving in and saying, oh, I was spot 5 and hopping right in. So you'll have that ticket all the way through. And then, you know, really my, you know, biggest thing that I would say beyond any of that is just looking sort of at the raw numbers. You know, the traffic study said that at our absolute peak, we would be taking in about 400 customers per day over the course of the entire, you know, 12-hour shift. We already do that on busy Saturdays and Sundays without issue, using those two lots, without any of this additional signage, without any of these additional controls. So what they're saying will be our normal volume, we're already doing and we're handling very well. So obviously if something changes, you know, we want to have fallbacks in place to address that. But we're not looking at this as an increase in the number of cars coming through. It'll just increase the volume on a daily basis rather than having a weekend peak.
Yeah, I just wanted to make you know, we did not receive any comments from the police department in regards to having an issue with traffic safety or, you know, traffic in general at that location. Because they do receive a copy of the application, so they're given an opportunity to comment on it, and they had no comment, which is good news.
Always good news. No, we've tried to work very closely, first with Chief Maxfield and then now with Chief Dowd. And just, you know, I'm a collaborator at heart. The more people we can get involved in something, the more eyes we can get on something, the happier I am. So the fact that we've been able to, you know, use their departments and use their experience as resources and saying, hey, you guys are the expert in traffic flow and public safety in town. Let us know what we should do. Thankfully, they were very willing to extend that help to us. And, you know, it was extremely gracious of them. And I think it's been a really big advantage.
Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm jumping before the board, but this is more for Chris. Mike Andrade had a few other items, such as lighting and everything. Do you think any of these other items he brought up in his report, or is anything that can't be addressed easily?
No, I mean, like I said before, all of these just seem to, you know, as far as the lighting that's there, a photometric study, but that parking lot has served. Again, I have specific experience there. It served for business, and I had to have adequate lighting, and these exterior lights did work for you know, evening uses. So. And most of these are, like I said, most of these are really minor in nature.
Yeah, so you might be able to address that with a comment to his report versus doing a photometric on the property.
Sure. Exactly.
Right. Randy, did you
Yes.
did you forward a copy of the Graves report? I don't think I got it.
I did this afternoon.
It's about 4:30.
An email
Sent
issue
over.
where it would,
Yeah.
my email was not sending, so it didn't go until, I think it was after 4 o'clock when it actually went out. It's
Yeah.
one of the
I didn't get it.
attachments.
Yeah. Nope.
No?
You know, I did. Can you try sending it again when you get a chance? I know Microsoft has been having all problems all day, so.
Maybe that's what, because I was having problem. Stuff was
That's fine.
not delivering out of my sent box. It was not showing up.
That's fine. Or if one of the other board members has it, can you forward it to me just so I can take a look at it too? Thank you.
I didn't get that either. The last email from you, Randy, is 4:11 p.m.
And that Graves report should be the second item, second attachment.
Yeah, I got nothing from you today.
Oh, I had a,
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. It is in that email. You're right.
Hey, Don, I just sent it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, just check.
And Randy, what I could say at the end with the lighting is just if in the future we notice that it is an issue, it's very easy for us to put a pylon in with a freestanding solar powered LED. So if we do notice there's a dark spot, you know, we can put that in. But like Chris said, you know, there's existing lighting there. It's been sufficient for the past few years. It was sufficient before we got in. You know, we're just going to keep using that existing lighting. But if for any reason something burns out or a tree grows or whatever it is, it's very easy to pop in a quick supplemental light on a little freestanding pole.
okay.
Randy.
Yes.
Randy, speak. Hey, speak.
All right, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rod. Oh, there's a couple questions.
Go right ahead.
And forgive me, I'm working on my car.
Yeah.
Still on this, but I'm just.
Number one, Lot B is not handicap accessible. I took a spin in there this weekend. There's no ramp going to the new sidewalk going to the new facility.
You guys get that?
I think I did. It was about the back lot not being handicap accessible, and that's why we've designated that anyone, whether they're medical or adult use, anyone who has handicap tags would be parking in that front lot. We don't want to make anyone go any further than they have to or have any extra difficulty than they have to. So that front lot would be medical, express pickup, and anyone who's has handicap tags.
What do you do with the
Why are there two handicap spots marked in that parking lot?
By parking code, we're required to have those. They're designated for that building, 5 Masonic home.
So it should be handicap accessible.
Well, it's handicap accessible to the building that those spots are designated for. That back 5 Masonic home lot is, those 2 spots are for the building itself, that 5 Masonic home road. The 2 handicap spots that are in front of 46 Worcester Road are the ones designated for the dispensary. So those 2 handicap spots are just additional handicap spots for the
building on Masonic Rail Road is not handicap accessible.
I'd have to verify that through that back entrance, which does have a ramp and does have a thing going up to it. If it's not, it's very easy for us to put a ramp.
I was there.
Okay, it's very easy for us to put a quick ramp in there.
And if I could,
And number two, there's a question about having a marijuana use in a community business. That was on the Graves review, and I know some of the board members.
Yeah, so if I could quickly address that as well. We were there prior to any zoning that was in place for Charlton, so we should be considered a pre-existing non-conforming. That's the way the board has always held it. That's the way the Attorney General held it when we had to go to her. So since we were in and had our provisional license from the Department of Public Health prior to July 1st of 2017, we have an unmitigated right to convert from the state for our license. We just have to make sure that we go through all the proper procedures with the town. And then on top of that, we were there prior to the existence of any zoning code, and all of our applications prior to the existence of any zoning code did mention an adult use. So I feel like, we've put that to bed pretty well. I've also been in contact with town council about that, but if we want to address it again, I can go through it again.
I know, Randy, this was before your time. But I know there was always an issue with this site.
Right, with the previous site plan approval, when they originally came from medicinal marijuana, that's why I had reviewed it in the application. They had actually addressed it in condition 10 that for this facility, they would, if they wanted to go to recreational, they would be coming back before the board with a site plan modification, which is why they're here tonight. So that actually was brought up in anticipation that they would be wanting to go with the recreational use in the future.
And our host community agreement actually addressed that as well. Our host community agreement drafted back in 17 said that it was going to be for medical use as well as expanding over to recreational, and that was on all of the selectmen's packets and everything else. So it was made very, very clear at the time that this was the intent.
Mr. Chairman.
It's not open to the public yet.
Sorry, sir.
Yep. John, do you have any other questions?
Well, I just want to make sure the zoning is in order. And excuse me, my phone is. I'm working on my cave.
Yeah. I see.
But the back parking lot, as Mike Andre described, it is in parking lot B. It's not in the shape. It's not in that is needed for overflow parking.
Did everyone get that on the board?
Yeah, I got the gist of it.
Don, all right. Jean, you hear that?
I heard that, yeah.
Okay. Bill, you got that right? So you can hear what John's concerns are, because Mike made it, I don't know what number it is on the condition of that back lot. Don, did you get the email that I forwarded you?
Yeah, I did. I'm looking at it now. Thank you, Ross.
All right. Jean, go right ahead.
If I can jump in again on that back lot. I parked there this morning. I didn't think it was in decrepit condition as Graves seems to. If we need to get the thing resurfaced, to be 100% honest, I mean, I've been coming in front of you guys for 2 years. This has got to be the 2000th time we've run through a bunch of this stuff. So I am get across the finish line. If we got to resurface the thing, we'll resurface the thing. It's not the end of the world. I'm not really trying to fight anything. I'm just trying to get through the last little bits of this process.
All right.
if I could just interject on the handicap parking. If you see on our site plan, the site modification plan, we did not include any lots in that back lot as ADA accessible. We included the lots that were in front of the dispensary. So we weren't looking to grab those for to meet any of the requirements.
Yeah, I think what John's getting at is that in the event that the front lot's full and you do have a handicapped customer come, excessive parking which you are providing, which is in that lot B, what do you do when, even though they could be designated for that pickup or the handicap only if they're all full? I mean, how's a handicap accessible person gonna go from lot B out front to the main entrance?
So I would say that we would park that person up front because it'd be easier for them to park in a non-handicap spot and just walk across than it would be to park in the back in a handicap spot and then walk all the way across the lot and then come into the building. So practically, that's just what we would end up doing. Again, if we got to stripe a space off back there, it's a can of yellow spray paint. I'm happy to stripe a space off back there.
My concern is also that the house, or the building, I should say, at 5 Masonic Home, if it's used for some type of commercial use, they will have to supply at least one handicap spot back there for that. Mm-hmm. If that building is used as a separate use than the Healthwise building. So
right.
They should keep their options open to have a handicap spot back there should they use, rent that building out as a commercial use.
So that's something that I would be perfectly fine with in saying if we ever converted the use of that building, that we would add a handicap spot, we would notify the board and, all those types of things. Just to give everyone an update on what that building's used for, it's 3 floors. The first floor is 2 offices. One has been unoccupied since we moved in. The other one, the tenant actually just left in September. They moved on to some bigger office space. And then there's 2 apartments above it. We use those for our CEO and COO. They crash there when they've been working all day and, they don't want to drive all the way back. One lives in New York and one lives in Hartford. So it's a bit of a hike back for them. So those are for Green Gold use. We have the 2 spaces reserved in that lot that are required under the parking code for a multifamily dwelling. But those are used extremely intermittently. I'd say maybe once or twice a month by those guys. And then the top floor, it had a tenant in there when we moved in. It was a pre-existing holdover tenant. After she moved out, we had some concerns about the condition of the building. We talked to the health department and agreed with them that the ceilings up there were too low and there were other issues with that space being a habitable apartment. So we stipulated with the health department that we just would never rent that building out unless we brought them back in to take a look. So it's all our use. It's completely unoccupied. And it's actually, there's 0 incentive for us to ever change that, because having people in there that are either living there or working there that aren't Green Gold employees that we can't control and we can't oversee becomes a big security risk for us. So it's to our benefit to keep that for Green Gold use only. And I really don't foresee a set of circumstances where that would change. But if it ever does, obviously we'd want to make sure that everything was in compliance and we'd let the board know that the use had changed.
All right. All right, Gene, do you have any questions at all or concerns?
Yeah, I just had one question. I think I'm confused a little bit. If the handicap spots in front of Green Gold Group are full, would that person then go to the back of the building and wait to be called up to the front of the building so that they could access it from the front of the building? Or am I mistaken on that?
Well, I don't think you're mistaken. I think if for some reason every single one of those spots was taken with a handicap tagged car in it, that would just by default have to be the case. But right. What I would really prefer to do is just give them a non-handicap space that's right in front of the building and just say, this doesn't have the sign on it, but it's the same size as a handicap space and everything else. There's not a medical patient using it. Just please park here and walk 5 feet rather than driving all the way around and walking 500 feet.
Exactly. Okay. I just wanted to check on that.
Yeah. No, front of the lot is, we even wanted to go a step further and say, even for people who may not have a handicap tag, if they call ahead and let us know they're mobility impaired, we'll let them park up there as well, just as easily.
Okay. Thank you.
I understand that, but is that the rule, or if people can make an adjustment in the zoning in order to accommodate guests, which is wonderful. But we do have these rules in place for these establishments. And I will contest, if you went into the back of lot and looked at the 2 hand-painted lines for the spaces of the handicap spots, with no ramp going into the building. I'm just a little confused on what their purpose is.
Oh, you suggesting they remove the handicap signs?
So you're talking about, so Lot B, I think you're talking about, and there is no handicap spots in Lot B for this building. Is that true, Jim?
Yeah, so there are 2 handicap spaces that we hand painted into that lot for the 5 Masonic Home building. When we had the previous tenant in there, he had asked if we could have some handicap spaces because I think a few of his clients may have had mobility issues. So we did those as a courtesy. They weren't, you know, official handicap spaces or anything along those lines. So if we want to make them official, I'm happy to make them official. If you want to paint them over, I'm happy to paint them over. I'll leave that up to you guys, whatever you think is best. I will say we want to make the building as accessible as possible. We want to make our facility as accessible as possible. So I'd prefer to err on the side of increasing access. But whatever is the decision of the board, we're happy to go with that for those spaces back there. But yeah, those 2 hand-painted ones were done as a courtesy for the previous tenant.
Okay, so through the chair again, I don't think any handicaps in that back spots would meet ADA requirements just because it's too far from the building. So that doesn't really solve the problem of having enough handicap spots available. Additional handicap spots in Lot A may help, but I don't know. I'm also a little, concerned about counting additional parking spaces in a separate business parking lot under stipulations. You said that you're already meeting your maximum on Saturdays, and you're under the assumption that Saturdays being retail won't be any more than what you're doing now, and I think that's probably a wrong assumption too.
Mm-hmm. Well, there should be a small boost, absolutely. What I would say to that is we had the traffic study done. Van Ast has done it for dispensaries all over the Commonwealth. They really predicted a pretty minimal uptake in terms of it. Obviously, that's why we want to be, proactive and have that there. Chris, I believe we did add an additional handicap space to the front. And, the point I'm trying to make is we're not going to make it a hard and fast rule for people who are handicapped and they're coming in to purchase recreationally that they have to park in Lot B. I mean, I wouldn't feel good about myself if I made someone do that. I couldn't tell any of the employees there to do that either. So, if there are 13 people who come in with handicap tags, we'll park all 13 of them up front. We're not going to tell anyone just because you're handicapped, you must park in a handicap space. Obviously, if one's available, that's the preference. And if one is not available, we'd park in the closest adjacent spot to that handicap space until it opened up.
Thanks for posting that map, Don.
Yeah.
Through the chair, if I may, yes, we have added an additional handicap spot at the front building, and currently, if you look up at the table in the left-hand portion of this plan, you will see that we meet the handicap accessible space requirements for the amount of parking required for this use.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that as well, I know there's a question about a lot for another business. The original proposal for this site plan, as well as every subsequent proposal, has been for all 3 lots there, A, B, and C. I believe they are. So yeah, 34A, 34B, 34C. So that it's always included the full property and both lots for the plan.
So if the property on 5 Masonic Home Road was fully utilized, would there be enough spots for your business?
Yes, there would. So we did that math the other day. What we would do is right now, as you can see, they recommended an additional 7 spaces. We gave 10 for the use for medicinal, or I'm sorry, for recreational. So if that building did become fully occupied, the 3rd floor is not able to be rented. We have that stipulation with the health department. It would cost, you'd have to raise the roof. So you'd have to rip the whole building apart to do that. So let's just cross that one off as non-feasible. The 2 apartments on the bottom floor or on the middle floor, the parking code says for a multi-family dwelling, you need to have 2 spaces. So we have 2 spaces for apartment A and apartment B. And then for the ground floor, there are those 6 spaces that are shown on the table being already reserved for that use. So if we needed to, we have 3 spaces to play around with to go from 10 down to 7. So we meet all of our parking requirements. We meet all of them if that building does get used, and we still have 3 spaces to play around with.
Bill, do you have any questions, Fontaine?
Yeah, thanks for presenting this new information. I had a question around your operating hours. Do you see an expansion in the hours you're open for this recreation?
No, I don't see any expansion. We're happy with it right now. We have the staffing to cover it right now. So, you know, the hours that we're running right now, I believe, are 10 to 8. And that's pretty much the standard for dispensaries across the Commonwealth. We really don't see even any demand before 10 a.m., so I don't see us going any earlier. Going any later, what, you know, Jim Philbrook and the health department had always told us is that we could stay open as late as, you know, the pharmacies and as late as Ted's was open. Those guys close around 10 p.m. But I mean, if you look out at, you know, the roads and everything, there's really not much traffic past 8. So we've settled on those hours less out of sort of an abstract choice and more out of patterns of shopping behavior.
And if you were to change the hours, do you have to come back to the health department or make a reapplication, or is it available to you to change the hours as you need for the business purposes?
We'd notify the health department. We'd also we'd have to notify the CCC as well, because they publish on their website what our operating hours are. So we'd have to let them know and make sure they have that in alignment as well.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right. Anyone else on the board have any comments or questions? All right. I have a question about that, the lot you have rented across the street from Ted's.
Mm-hmm.
My question to the board is, does anyone need to see that on plan? Look at that, or I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Don, any comment on that, or Randy?
I mean, it might be just so that we can say we have it for our records, is if they're proposing a certain space over there, is if they, you know, it could be done as a condition of approval, but if we had some sort of simple plan just showing where they're having the parking over there that's designated for green gold, I don't know if that's a simple enough process. You know, I don't expect them to put in a fully engineered plan for that. Just something that shows how what part of the property is for their use versus other uses on the property. I know it's primarily empty, but I do see trucks parked there once in a while, maybe from other businesses.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this behind Ted's or is this off of Gillespie Road?
No, so this is off of Gillespie Road. I think the address is 5 Gillespie Road. It's that yellow barn right across the street from Ted's. So Randy, you're 100% right. The back, I think, is rented by a crane company, and that's fenced off and fenced in. And the yellow barn sort of divides the 2 lots. It's right in the middle, and there's an access on either side of it, or the front and back of it. I shouldn't say the 2 lots. So what we've rented, we have it on a month-to-month basis. They couldn't be nicer over there, Ted and his son. The front of that lot, essentially, everything from the yellow building up to the road. So that fits, I mean, the whole lot you could fit 500 cars on. That spot fits, if you park them loosely, 50 cars. If you park them in, you know, angled and tight, 75. But Chris, if you don't mind me volunteering you, I think we can definitely get someone over there in the next day or so to just quickly draw that up and demarcate it. But that's not an intended part of our parking. That's just a when and if we need it type of thing. It's short money. I mean, we have it for a couple $100 a month, where if we need it or not. So we're just kind of keeping it in reserve. So I think, you know, saying we can supplement and let everybody know where it is good, but it's not an integral part of our business or an integral part of our day-to-day parking or anything like that. It'd be a overflow, special occasions, that type of deal.
Well,
is this a lot that I have up right now on the map?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's right where the hand is. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at the front part of that under those trees, right? That like triangle right there. You know.
Okay.
Sort of between the road, back to the building, and then over again.
It doesn't provide a lot of spots. Maybe 10 cars?
I mean, when we've gone down there, we've parked cars and parked them next to each other to see how many we could fit, and that's how we came up with that 50 number. So, you know, you can get between where you have your cursor right now, facing along a line to the front of that building, all the way through that lot, another tier in between, and then a whole other strip facing along, looking up at the honey farms. That's a huge amount of parking.
I think the shadow of the trees is making it a little deceiving on how much parking there is over there.
Yeah, there's just 2 trees right here.
Yeah, it's 3 little trees right next to each other. It's not like a big copse of trees or anything like that. It's a little line of 3 trees. And Randy, you're 100% right. I think it's the shadow that's making it look bigger than it is.
But I think for the record that, you know, if it ever came up in the future, we can show for the record that you did address if there was ever a need for overflow parking, that you shown that you have the ability to provide it. You know, and I don't think that require, you know, it's the board's call, but in my opinion, I think it's just a very simple plan outlining the area of the property that would be designated for you, for Green Gold. And I did
be happy to, especially since it's a split lot
as well. What's that?
I said be happy to, especially since we're splitting that lot. It's good to know who's us and who's the crane company.
Right.
I think it's a good idea to have it on record too. You know, just for the what ifs.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
Then next question I have for the board about what they want to do is item number 10 on Graves' report is with the landscaping. Since their alteration with DOT made them do that detention basin, we're kind of eliminated their landscaping. The number 40, for 46 Worcester Road. Does the board want to do anything with that, with landscaping for them?
For 46 Worcester Road?
Yeah, because item number 10 on Mike's report said that property did not know that previous approved landscaping plan was unable to be performed on the dispensary site due to the Mass DOT requirement of the stormwater improvements. There's the 2 basins that they had to install.
Yeah, we had to drop a couple of trees because of that.
Yeah, I know we talked about something in the front of the building, and we were concerned with line of sight on the entrance. But
gotcha.
Now that that's an entrance only, it might be a good idea just to put some sort of landscaping up front to hide the parking lot a little bit.
Along Worcester Road.
Along Worcester Road, is that possible? Because we had always thought that the Worcester Road, this would be an exit, and that would blocks line of sight. But now that it's an entrance only and it's one way in, and you can't go out that way, it's less of a concern. That's what I seem to remember. I don't know if any other board members have an opinion.
I'd be happy to put landscaping in there. We have a nice berm there. It's a good swale that sort of runs in between 20 and the parking lot. So we have hydrangeas up against the back wall. We have lilies all around the ponds, and then another string of hydrangeas running on that little sidewalk between the 2 buildings. So I'm just thinking a mix of more lilies and hydrangeas going in there.
Thank you. All right, anything else from the board before I open it up to the public?
Just one more question
Go right ahead, Bill.
on parking through the chair, please.
Yeah.
I guess the site plan shows the quantity, like, mathematically for parking. I think what's unclear, though, is how the business is going to handle it when customers aren't aware of where the extra parking lots are, even though you may have some signs for it. And they start backing up on Route 20 to try to pull into the entrance, and that front building may be full. I think that could quickly turn into a bit of a problem right on Route 20, right at that intersection. I mean, how do you communicate to customers who don't know the parking intentions and the overflow parking spaces? Mm-hmm. How are we going to handle that, Mr. McMahon?
So we have a few ways to address that. We're using all proven tactics from other facilities. Number 1 is we're increasing our security guards on site to have now 3 lot attendants. So that would be 1 in the front, 1 in the rear, and 1 floating. That way they can quickly address any issues and quickly, check people as they're pulling into the lot, make sure everything's good to go. Number 2 would be, in addition to the existing sign that's there, that Masonic Home Road Offices, I think it is, we have a sign that would fit inside of there that says additional green gold parking, fit in one of the open spaces on it. So, we'd have that signage there. We'd also have temporary signage, the folding A-frame signs that can be right at the head of the lot, demarcating what they're for. And, once people learn what the score is, we can pull those away because they're not the most sightly, but they do, inform very well. And then finally, it's the big push on our marketing and social media side. We'll do the same thing we did when we opened for medical. We'll reach out to the TNG, try to get an article run about the different parking protocols and how everything works. We had our graphic designer today draft up a map of the property and show the different parking locations and what the restrictions are. That, assuming everything flies tonight, that's going to start getting handed out to every customer we have in the dispensary along with their purchase, so they start knowing about it. It'll also be posted on all our social media channels as well as be available on our website. And then all of our promos and everything else opening for recreational will include, please reference the parking plan, please see the parking plan. We'll have that front row center on the website. And then biggest thing that I think will help with any of this and at least getting the word out is, just like we did for medical, we're going to do a soft opening. When we get our approval from the state to be able to open, usually that comes midweek. We'll run it through. We're not going to announce anything. We'll just very quietly open the doors. And then we'll make our actual announcement of, hey, starting Saturday or whatever it is. So it gives us a few days to learn the flow, get the routine, do everything with training wheels on before you start soliciting new business into the facility.
Jim, this is Randy. You actually brought up a question that made me consider this. Do you tend to, I know initially it'll be probably a lot of new customers, but after you're like up and running for a little while, do you tend to see yourself getting a lot of repeat customers that would be familiar with the parking patterns, or do you typically keep constantly getting new customers? I mean, I'm sure you hope to keep getting new customers, but do you see a lot of repeat customers that would be, as they came, getting familiar with the parking patterns there, or is it a mixture of everything?
Definitely. So I have to be a little careful of what I can say on the medical side because there are HIPAA laws that protect our patient privacy, but the overwhelming...
I'm considering the recreational. Yeah.
Well, just sort of extrapolating from what we have, the majority of our business is repeat business. We have a very good loyalty program. We have a very good customer service program. So the overwhelming majority of the business that we're seeing are, we call, our regulars basically, and it's people from the area. It's people from Charlton, surrounding towns. So, now that so many of these have opened up, it is, people are going to the one that's most close and most convenient to them.
You fucking junkies, assholes.
Thank you for your input, sir, but I think you'll have to wait for public comment on that.
God, I don't know if you're not on mute.
I am now.
No, you're still not on mute.
You're still there, Johnny. All right. Anything else from the board? All right. I'd like to.
Wait, Ross.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Did we address number 13 by the parking lot does not conform to typical parking lot dimensions? I think it means parking. Did we address that? Where the back lot has smaller parking places? Parking spots, I'm trying to say.
That'd be for is the applicant willing, actually, I guess, what does the board want to do on that with the?
That's part of the peer review. And I'll be honest with you, Ross, until some of these things are taken care of, I'm not willing to add stipulations to an approval. I mean, I think there's still too many things outstanding here that need to be addressed before I'd feel comfortable doing it anyways.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Fine. That's fine. It's out there. It's good. All right. Anything else from the board that was from the Graves review? All right. If not, I'm going to open it up to the public. And please, if you from the public, please state your name and your address. Any questions from the public?
Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead. You're up.
Mr. Chairman, Robert Lemansky, 157 Sunset Drive, for full transparency here. I am the father of Ross Lumansky, but my comments should have no bearing on our relationship. I guess it's more of a suggestion to the planning board. I would suggest that the planning board seek from the applicant's counsel a zoning use opinion letter with respect to the conformity of current zoning bylaws of the town of Charlton. And the issue here is that the use that's presently being exercised was a use that was allowable by law 2 years ago. But and I believe it was either August or October, zoning got changed to where now it makes Green Gold a non-conformer. And what's being asked here is to now increase that non-conforming, but it's more than just an increase. It's a whole different use. Yes, they're brother and sister, but it's a use that was very specific in the town of Charlton. There was a difference between medical and also recreational. So with this zoning opinion letter from the applicant's counsel, that letter would then be forwarded to our council or the planning board's council for review and to see if our council agrees with that opinion. And I would also suggest that the applicant should be paying for that legal opinion because of I can refer to it as a zoning cloud that's over this property when they
now Rob Lumansky, as part of the public, who's Ross's father, but has no bearing on any potential conflict.
Oh.
Thank you. That's exactly right, Kurt.
Well,
yes, that's all I wanted to say.
Raising the zoning issue that I told Rob yesterday was not a zoning issue because they're.
And respectfully, Kurt, in fact, I even had a discussion with another town official and concurred with your opinion. I'm sorry, but you know, again, what my history tells me, there's only a couple of ways of changing zoning. You either got to go to the Board of Appeals, or if in fact the town changes it, or if there's a statute, such as the statute that exists to where if you own 5 acres or more anywhere in the state of Massachusetts, you can farm. If you're downtown Boston and you want to have a big farm, go right ahead. If you got 5 acres, nobody can stop you. The state law there, I think it's 48 Section 3, they protect for religious use in schools. You can do them anywhere they're allowed. And also, I believe, like I said, religious use, I don't know about hospitals, but again, those items that I just mentioned, they're the only ones that I know that are protected. And I don't think, from what I could find out, there's nothing in the cannabis law that talks about exempting zoning as far as retail sales. That's all I needed to say.
Guys, if I could jump in and address a few of those concerns, would that be appropriate?
Yeah, if you could, quick, that'd be great.
Sure, very quickly. So quickly, we've already followed that process. We've been through that when we went through the original conversion on our HCA process. We worked with town council on this. We went all the way to the attorney general on this. We have opinion letters from both that say that we're able to be used in that zone. As Kurt said, we were there prior to any zoning coming through. And for the statute to look at, it's Mass General Laws, Chapter 94G, Section 3. And that is, I'm looking for the exact, it's Section A1 it's item A1 inside of Section 3. Zoning ordinances or bylaws shall not operate to prevent the conversion of a medical marijuana treatment center licensed or registered not later than July 1st, 2017 engaged in the manufacture or sale of marijuana or marijuana products to a marijuana establishment engaged in the same type of activity under this chapter. So that's state law that says we have that right to convert. We had our provisional certificate at that date. The Attorney General's agreed with us, town councils agreed with us. So we're relying on the state statute that does give us that right to convert over. I agree with you, it is a rare circumstance, but this is one of those rare circumstances. And we've been up and down the flagpole on this, and everybody says we're good.
Okay, all right. Is there any other comment from the public?
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond, I do agree. I did hear that from James, and I appreciate that information. The key thing is the July date. The July date was before the citizens of Charlton voted to go and change the use within the CB district to make the sale of marijuana illegal, or again, it's not an allowed use. So that's what I'm questioning, and I hear exactly what he's saying. At the time, you're perfect, all right? But the cloud that comes in is when the people of Charlton chose to change the zoning and chose to change the use in the CBB district. So that's where I'm suggesting that the planning board take a second look at this, and with the new information being zoning change, that what effect did that zoning change have on this property? Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, is there anything else from the public?
Yes, hi. My name is Ashley Schneider, and I'm at 54 Worcester Road, the abutting property.
Yep.
So I've never really had any issues with the business being open. Just concerns that may have been brought up. The line of sight of me leaving my driveway, I would not like anything on Route 20 so I can see out of that. Also, the entrance going in usually isn't a problem, but there is, you know, when it's high traffic volume, there is speeding around there. Sometimes I have a hard time getting into my driveway. So I don't know if that will be an issue with the uptick with recreational sales. And then it's not like a huge issue, but there is a smell that I do get. So I don't know if we can address that as well.
Ooh. Smell.
Okay.
What?
It doesn't really, thank you. It doesn't really bother me. I'm just saying I do have other people that live with me that it does bother them. So if we can address that.
All right, all right. All right, Ashley, thank you for bringing up those items. James, do you have any comment on the aroma?
Yeah, so number one, you know, we absolutely, Ashley, I want to work with you to make sure we keep your driveway as safe as possible, maintain that line of sight. So, you know, what I'd say is if you're willing, you know, we can spray paint out where some of these plantings are going to go. And like, I'd want to work with you just to make sure that nothing interferes with that. And then obviously we'll be within the setback for the state easement for Route 20. So for that, you know, I'll get you my contact info, or just come down by the dispensary and we can make sure that there's no plantings that interfere with you anywhere.
Awesome.
For the queuing, you know, I think that you will see an improvement in that, because right now we don't have those lot attendants. They're, you know, essentially unpatrolled lots, or they're only patrolled on an intermittent basis. When we have those lot attendants out there, I think that'll, you know, clear any of those little log jams that might form from time to time. And then for smell, I want to address that 100%. Is it a cannabis odor or is it another odor?
It's a cannabis odor.
Okay.
Again, it doesn't really bother me so much. It's I have tenants that live here with me as well, so you know, I would like to address that.
Is it like a fresh cannabis odor or burning cannabis?
I would say if I catch it on the wind, so maybe a fresh. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say if it's burning cannabis, then that's a law enforcement issue, and we'll just ask the police to, you know, duty officer our lots. That's that. We don't allow any on-site consumption. We don't support any on-site consumption. We haven't seen any evidence of on-site consumption. You know, that is empty containers in the parking lot or cars, you know, loitering there or anything like that. Obviously, if it was, our first call is to the police. We have a very good relationship with the police. If it's a fresh cannabis odor, the only thing I can think of is that it's coming from the HVAC exhaust from the storage room. And, you know, what we could do to that, we can put a charcoal filter on it, or we can do some other odor mitigation things. So, You know, I'll talk to our HVAC guys and see if we can add a filter onto the end of that exhaust.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's all the concerns that I had to address. So I appreciate you listening to me.
All right, thank you, Ashley. All
Randy,
right,
can you take a note of that for the odor, Randy?
Yes,
Yeah.
will do.
Thank you. All right, anything else from the public? All right. So do we, I know obviously there's some, based upon the peer review, there's some outstanding issues that we as a board would like to see taken care of. I guess as a board, what do we want to close the public hearing? That means that we can't take any more information in, I guess, right, Randy? Or
Yeah, if you close the public hearing, you can't have any more discussion on the application with the public.
Okay.
From the board members.
So,
You can
so
address.
Ralph, I don't think I'm prepared to make a decision tonight just because there's
no, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how the other members feel. Maybe they're okay with it. I don't know. I think we should leave the public hearing open until, you know, we're ready to make that decision, because there might be something else that comes up next week that didn't come up this week. So
yep,
that's my opinion. Other board members may feel different.
All right.
This is Jean, and I totally agree with you, Don.
Okay. All right, Bill, you got any?
Yeah.
Can't you voice in
I
the
feel the same way.
Yeah,
Especially based on the peer review, there's at least 3 items, number 1, number 5, number 18, that, you know, still need to be addressed, as well as the things that Ms. Snyder brought up as the abutting neighbor.
And Randy, I'd like to see a letter from council clarifying the zoning issues. That's always been a concern with that lot for me. The other thing is when we go into a business and opening up a business or allowing a business to open, if we're already talking about contingency parking plans and confusion and potential issues, that's a big red flag for me that maybe this isn't the right location to allow this business. But let's see how the other things get addressed and see as we go forward. But that's usually a big red flag if we're talking about confusion and overflow parking right in the beginning.
all right. John Smith, you got any opinion? I know you had some.
No, I mean, I've said my piece on that, but as long as they're following the rules and it's all legal and people are safe going in and out of the facility, and if it's approved use, it's really not up to us. It should be a straight line to let them open. I mean, it's just but there's many concerns on that site. And a few more raised with the smell and such. We just want to get it right. We just want to get it right.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion to continue the public hearing?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing until, should we do it on the 21st? Is that the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
October 21st.
Second that motion.
All right, Bill, seconded. All right, all those in favor, Gene Vincent.
Aye.
Don Clay.
Aye.
Bill Fontaine.
Aye.
John Smith.
Aye.
Ross. All right, Ross Demansky abstain. All right, it's continued to October 21st. All right, thank you, James, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our second public hearing of the night for POG Realty Trust proposed zoning change to Route 20 and Center Depot Road from community business to business enterprise park. All right, pursuant to MGL Chapter 48, Section 5, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, October 7th, 2020 at 7:10 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 892513777095 on the request of POG Realty Trust, Charlton, Mass. 01507 to consider amending Charlton zoning map for land located at the intersection of Center Depot Road, H. Putnam Road, and Route 20 herein identified on Charlton Assessors Map 26, Block B, lots 13 and 13.2 by rezoning the parcel from its current zoning designation of community business to business enterprise zone as detailed on the submitted zoning district District Revision Map. The properties contain a total of approximately 89.7 acres. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/89251377095, meeting ID 89251377095, phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of the proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the Planning Board office in the Town of Charlton's Town Clerk's office during the regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website on the Planning Board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. Ross Massey, Chairman, Town Planning Board. All right. Randy, do you want to speak, or do you just want to hand it over to the applicant?
I can give a brief overview of what the applicant is proposing here, and then I believe the applicant's at the meeting here where he can elaborate. This property, the larger parcel of land, as you see in the center of the picture, that the first screen that says CB, and then the second screen is green for BEP. That in the small, which is lot 26D 13, and then down in the corner by Route 20, there's this 26D 13.2. The property, currently those properties are zoned for community business. The previous intention for these properties was to be more of a retail use, but since the market has pretty much dried up for retail purposes, the property owner is exploring to make the property more of a viable property for commercial use and is requesting the zoning to be changed back to BEP, which is what it was prior actually to being designated as community business. I believe approximately almost 90 acres total for the amount of land that is being proposed here. It's at the intersection of, as you can see, Route 20 with the Center Depot Road, and also on the west side of it is H. Putnam Road. The applicant has made this application to be put on the town warrant at the next special town meeting, requesting the planning board to recommend to support this map change.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
We as the board, we've looked at this, I think at the past meeting when the applicant had the idea that he wanted to do this. We're just following through with our the process of a public hearing prior to the town meeting. Does the applicant want to elaborate on it? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Sure.
Randy hit all the points. Go right ahead, Dan.
Okay. This is a parcel we've owned since 1986, believe it or not. The last big project was 2006 to 2008. We entered into an agreement with Conover Development from Connecticut, and their proposal, their anchor was going to be Lowe's, Hannaford Supermarkets. I think they had a movie theater at the time, and they were talking of Kohl's, and of course, a bank, and whatever else fits into a regional shopping center. When it finally made its way through site plan review, and it was September 2008, and that was, some of you might remember, that was September. That's when the banks were in trouble. That's where Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy, and then large retailers like Home Depot and Lowe's started closing stores in New England. So so it's been sitting there and we've had some discussions, but our core business has always been industrial development. We own the industrial park and well, we owned it. We developed the industrial park where IPG, Fabrico, Wilson Languages over in Oxford. That's grown to about 600,000 square feet now. Goya Foods in Webster. We have Chase and Sons Manufacturing, a Dewey Pile. And excuse me, in Sturbridge, we, when Coherent General left the area, we bought their building and all their 40 acres and all that property is, we've either sold it and there's the 3 remaining parcels are all under agreement. One of the parcels was finally made its way through the Sturbridge Planning Board, and that's going to be a 120,000 square foot.
Excuse me, Chair. Can we limit it to this property just to keep the meeting moving along?
Oh, well, I'm just giving. I'm leading up to why this is not why I wanted industrial instead of commercial. The other thing, just I'll take a few minutes. There's a lot of. I mean, the Auburn Mall is changing its use. You know that you know you've got just in Webster, you got Shaw's Supermarkets closed and Kmart's closed. Who knows what's going to happen with JCPenney and Shaw's and Sturbridge. So it, you know, I'm 70 years old. My partner's 84 years old. You know, would kind of like to do this in our lifetime. So basically, we do have an interest, and I've had some discussions with the town. We're on the short list of 6 for a biomedical center. So, but we can't do it with the current zoning. So that's why there was the rush, you know, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, the state reached out to me and we said we could do it. I know they've had some discussions with the town on infrastructure issues, but hey, that's why we brought it. That's why we brought it before the board. We want to bring it before the town meeting.
All right, thank you for the overview, Dan. All right, do we have any questions or comments, concerns from the board?
See, I would just wanted to add one thing to it because, you know, I did have some concerned neighbors come in and question the change of the use, or trying to understand the change of the use of the property. And I don't want to speak for any of the neighbors, of course, but in looking at it and everything, the one thing, as you can see on H. Putnam Road in particular, and there are more on Center Depot Road, there's some residential properties that surround this. And the setbacks from the property line for community business at this time are 15 feet. If he was to switch it to business enterprise zone, it's 50 feet, which basically provides a bigger buffer between the residential uses of those properties and any type of business use that would be commercial use that would be done on this property. So the zoning does add a little bit of added protection between the two properties for the types of uses that could be done.
That's a good point. Thank you for doing that research, Randy. Jean, you got any comments or anything?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right.
My one comment before was about it being spot zoning, but that's not an issue. It's not what I would consider spot zoning after looking at the map and everything. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any further comments. Thank you.
Great. All right, Bill, you got anything on?
No, thank you for
right.
the narrative. Yep.
All right. All right, John Smith, anything? Any questions or anything?
Nothing, Ross.
Okay.
Nothing, Ross. I'm good. I'm good.
All right, Don, you have anything?
Yeah, my only question and caution would be that, you know, we're kind of looking at zoning right now as a whole. So I'm not sure how this fits in with the new plans or any of that stuff going up. And in my opinion, it's probably a little premature to look at this and without looking at the big picture of what we're trying to do. But it's the only thing I would say.
I got you. Gotcha. All right. I guess Randy, I guess I'm going to open up to the public. Anyone from the public have any comments, questions, or concerns? If you do speak from the public, please state your name and address, please. All right. Hearing none. There are none. All right. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Excuse me, Ross,
Go right ahead, Dan. Yep.
If I may.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I know this is short notice, and I know, there's always talk about master plans, but the reason I spoke of my track record, I've been doing this stuff for 48 years, okay? And, when someone comes to town, you've got to be ready. We had before Conover came to town one time, we had a user. It was a national site search. And, we weren't ready. We were still having the water wars with Southbridge. The town planner at the time didn't want to discuss TIFs, which the company just wanted to know, what is your TIF policy? So it never got beyond that. So now we have a project that found me. I didn't find them. And the same people I worked with on this project, once before I worked with them, and it became BASF in Worcester, which is now AbbVie Labs. The second time they came along, it was on my large parcel, Green Hill, across from the old Techman building. And that was called Project Whippoorwill, right? That was, hush hush for the state. Well, it ended up as Bristol Myers Squibb. And to attract them, the state spent $34 million in infrastructure money at Fort Devens to make it happen. Now, I don't know who the company is. They're dealing through a professional site search. We made it to the top 6. So I don't know if we're going to get it, but I want to be ready for it. And the other thing is, if we're lacking in infrastructure and the state wants the well-paying jobs, they will, they're gonna help us with the infrastructure. So that's the message I have. So, if you want to hem and haw and wait a year or two and figure out what you're gonna do, it's not gonna happen. The future belongs to the nimble, and I'm just trying to be nimble.
All right.
To the chair, Ross.
Go right ahead, Jean.
Question. This is going to go to town meeting, correct?
Absolutely.
And the town meeting will vote on this.
Correct.
So I think all your past dealings and everything would be best presented at town meeting so that the entire town can understand where you're coming from and what you've done in the past. And it's not going to be our vote that's going to make or break this. It's going to be the town's vote. And I suggest we leave it to the townspeople.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just voting to support it.
Okay.
That's what we're doing, whether we support it or not.
Well, I object there. So
yeah, no,
we're voting to recommend it to the town as a good idea or not a good idea.
Correct.
Is really what we're doing here. So if the town looks for us for guidance as a planning board on what we recommend them doing or approving, that's really what we're looking at here. We're not just blindly stamping something.
No, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I?
Oh, what do we got going here?
Did somebody have a question?
Yeah. I do.
Okay.
Kathleen Murphy, H. Putnam Road.
Okay,
Just a question for Dan. On that property of about 90 acres, just if he had any idea about how much of the property the biotech is or the company is interested in using?
Well, the limited information I have, because everyone I'm talking to is a non-disclosure agreement. They're like 40 acres, but they're interested in buying the whole thing. So,
okay.
if it's what I think it is, very expensive building, you know, they want to have buffers, they want to landscape it. And, you know, I can't promise it's going to happen, but, you know, one of the things when it first went on was discuss industrial. I said, I want it industrial. There's more egregious things you can do in industrial. I said, it's BEP. Originally, it was under the original zoning back in 1987, it was called Industrial Park, which embodied a lot of the things that was now we call Business Enterprise Park.
Gotcha. All right,
So-
anything on the, go right ahead.
Through the chair, I don't know if there's some people that are interested, but Randy, maybe you can explain what's acceptable in a CB as opposed to a BEP. Is it the long list, or does anybody care in this meeting?
The primary one that makes a difference between CB and BEP is CB allows for any type of retail use, whether it's a smaller stores up to a large mall. BEP is more type of office type use, medical, research type facilities. There is ability to have warehousing, distribution there as well. But what Mr. Parry and I had some discussions on this, as he said that BEP versus IG, which is one of the other options to consider for this property. IG allows a lot of uses that are more as industrial type use, such as a automobile junkyard or things like that. BEP is going to be more of a large office building type use, versus some industrial type use that is not as appealing visibly. So given the location of the property and the not only the location from a visibility standpoint, but from the location from a town standpoint, this is an ideal property to allow business type uses closer to the middle of the community than people constantly locating on the outskirts of the community. So the biggest difference is that you would have more office, warehousing type use versus retail use on the property. CB is pretty much limited to retail uses and, also some residential. B would be more commercial. I honestly don't see this property being developed as residential. It would probably be some type of commercial. So BEP would probably be the more appropriate use versus CB. I mean, as a community business, a lot could be put on this property based on the zoning.
Yeah.
BEP is a lot more limited on where and how much can be put on the property. So
yeah, another set. Yeah. Okay.
One more thing I'd like to add is the fact that when this was a Conover development, there was a lot of paving, a lot of traffic. I don't envision this. I don't envision that to happen anyway. But I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot less traffic than it would have been if that had become a shopping center, if it did in the future, 20 years from now.
That's the other thing is it does, as probably most of the board members, but anybody in the public knows that it has that traffic light intersection at the corner of Center Depot and Route 20, which is, on Route 20, crossing it at any given times is always difficult. The fact that this property abuts that signalized intersection makes it more appropriate for development versus many other properties in town where Route 20 is obviously an obstacle many times. So.
All right. Is there anything else? Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment one more thing is the town is always looking for a retail supermarket, something that would help out the town. We're quickly losing spots that would be acceptable for something like that.
Let me tell you, I've talked to every supermarket chain, including the new one, I think Oddvie or something like that. This is not even, you've got, go to Stop and Shop and Sturbridge, anchored by Walmart and everybody else, Staples and everything. Go and Stop and Shop, and it looks like a convenience store. Four cash registers running, right? What has happened is when I talked to Hannaford's a few years ago, off the record, they said, no, we've got, you know, in the roundabout way, they do not want to come compete against Market Basket. Anybody here been to Market Basket? 24 cash registers going backed up all the time. If you're going to put a supermarket in, you don't want to be within 8 or 10 miles of Market Basket. So.
Right.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the board? All right. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion we close the public hearing.
All right. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor, Gene Vincent.
This is just to
Close
say
the
that
public.
we're supporting it.
No, this is to close the public hearing.
Oh, okay, yes.
All right. Don Clay.
Yes.
Bill Fontaine.
Aye.
Under the legislation that Senator Harris co-sponsored, ICE and
John Smith.
from African.
Yes. Aye.
Ross Massey, aye. All right. We close. Public hearing's closed. All right. Now discussion about supporting this, the planning board supporting this to present at the town meeting.
Through the chair.
Go right ahead, John.
Yeah. I understand. Mr. Prouty want for this zoning change to happen. And I appreciate his efforts to bring business into the town and such. My question only is, what is our zoning diagnostics? We're kind of halfway through it right now, and with COVID, we weren't able to get as far along as we should be at this point. But it's kind of putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. All right. I can see your point, but I guess what's the vision for what Route 20 is going to look, what we want it to look like as far as businesses on there. I know we want to attract businesses, which is great to help take some of the tax burden off the residents and utilize Route 20 for what it is. You bring up a good point, but I mean, I know we all know how retail is now. And the tough part with retail that I see, or from talking to other business owners on Route 20 is, like these big companies, big box companies look at population per square mile and then traffic count, and unfortunately Charlton doesn't check that box, and especially for retail. So
maybe perhaps this is what they'll come up with. I'm not saying no, but it's hard telling not knowing, knowing.
And from what Randy put out there for when Dawn asked him what the difference was between CB and BEP, it seemed like BEP almost seemed like more of a professional office space use as opposed to more of a retail dominant use ability with your land. So, Bill, do you have anything, any comment, question?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're recommending this to appear as a warrant. I think, at some point we also have to trust the people in the community and the property owners and developers that have experience with this. If they see a need for it, I think we're following the rules by putting it up for a warrant and letting the town vote on it. I would recommend that we support it.
All right. Jean?
I really don't have any questions or anything right now.
All right. All right, so do we have Dawn, do you have anything last before I put a motion on the table?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, all right. All right, do we have a motion to support this for town meeting?
I'll make the motion that we support this for town meeting.
Okay.
I'll second that for Jean.
All right. All those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Dawn?
No.
Okay. Bill,
Aye.
John Smith,
That's a tough one, Ross. I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna have to say no.
okay. Ross Lemansky, aye. It's 3-2. We support it. All right. Moving on to the, are we all set there, Randy?
Yes.
Cover the bases? All right. All right, thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. I wanted
All
to
right.
hang around for the,
Yeah, next one. All right, no problem. All right, next up, we got a public hearing for the Kozowski property zone change on Route 20 and Sampson Road from residential low density R40 to business enterprise park. All right. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, October 7th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 89251377095 on the request of Kenneth and Jeffrey Kozowski, 18 Sampson Road, Charlton, Mass. 01507 to consider amending Charlton zoning map for land located at the intersection of Sampson Road and Route 20 herein identified on Charlton Assessors Map 32, Block A, Lot 6 by rezoning the parcel from its current zoning designation of residential low density R40 to business enterprise park, BEP, as detailed on the submitted zoning district revision map. The property contains approximately 40.6 plus or minus acres pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. The Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. At this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/892513777095, meeting ID 89251377095, phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of the proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the planning board office and the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website on the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, Randy, you want to give a quick overview?
Yes, the applicants are requesting currently the property known as, I believe it's 18 Sampson Road, as shown on the map block and lot 32A6. It's currently zoned as R40, and the applicant is requesting it to change it to BEP. Not shown on this map, but provided on one of the maps that was sent out today by the applicant. Give you an understanding of where this property is. Just to the right off this map would be the Treehouse property, which is also zoned BEP. The applicant, currently this property also, with the map that he provided, if you have an aerial on it, it currently has a solar facility on it. So it's already being used commercially, and there's a large portion of the property that abuts Route 20 that is currently vacant that could be used commercially. And based on the use of the property already between the solar facility, it has a transmission line going through the middle of it. There's not a lot of opportunity for residential development on this property, nor would there probably be any call for it, particularly on the Route 20 portion of the property, because people just wouldn't be building on Route 20. So the applicant is requesting to have a zoning map change for this parcel from R40 to Business Enterprise Park.
All right. Kenny, you're on, right?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I think you mentioned at our previous meeting when you originally put this forth that you guys have an interest in doing the battery storage on this parcel, correct?
Well, there is a possibility that there
Yep.
could be like that only takes like a half acre or less,
Okay.
but
All right. So,
well, like Randy explained it pretty good, it's not any place where anybody's gonna want to live in a residential neighborhood
right.
on Route 20. And
All
at
right.
the other end, you're right under the power lines, basically, so nobody's gonna want to live on the power lines.
Correct. Correct. So, all right. Is there any comment from the board or questions for the applicant?
Actually, I just wanted to point out, for people who aren't familiar, but probably most everybody is this with this aerial, you on the right side of it, on what would be the east side, you can see the entrance driveway to Treehouse, just to get your bearings of where this property is located. And to the bottom of the screen is actually the Heritage Golf Course.
All right. Yep. Perfect, Don. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now from Route 169 to there, it's about 90% of it is BEP. It's basically almost extending the BEP a little further.
All right.
And across the street is industrial IG land too, so
All right.
it's not.
So it's not like you're sticking it in the middle of a residential zone.
Okay.
Gene, you have any-
Randy? Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
do have a
Go
question.
right ahead, Gene. Yep.
Treehouse, what's that zone? Is that BEP?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
So-
changed. That was changed to BEP for them.
Okay, and the lot that's on the other side of Sampson Road, there's, looks like there's 1, 2, 3 lots. That's all R40?
Yeah, and I believe most of the same family owns the various properties.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the McKinsky family. Might be wrong on that, but anyways, yes, it's all, the middle, the larger lot is part of the farm, and then there's smaller lots with other homes that are on it, but
The houses.
primarily they're family members, but yes, they're all residential.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Bill, you got any questions at all?
I mean, just looking at the conceptual land use plan from our previous master plan, I know it's dated, but from that whole area from Sampson Road west, that was, and has been zoned, and thought of conceptually for commerce. I think this fits right in with it. I agree. It's probably not the best residential use. So, I'm supporting it. Thank you.
All right. John Smith, you got any questions?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
No,
All right,
I'm all
Dawn, you
set.
have any- Okay, all right, John, thanks. Dawn, you got any questions or anything?
I think my only concern was, once again, we're in the process of coming up with a plan. So I think to do this prior to that plan is just premature by probably just a couple of months.
All right, no problem. No problem. All right, I'd like to open it up to the public. Any questions from the public? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Do I have a motion?
No.
Oh, go right ahead, Don.
No, I'm assuming letters were sent out to the neighbors and the abutting properties, and we
Yes,
heard nothing back.
the zoning map application, we sent it out to all the abutters within 300 feet.
Okay. Okay. And nobody's here tonight. Nobody was objecting to anything.
I actually had no abutters come in and question this application. I had a few from the other application just came in just to understand, but nobody approached me on this application.
All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it. Don Clay.
All right, all those in favor, Gene?
Aye.
Dawn?
No.
To close the public hearing?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah, no problem. Bill?
Yes.
Aye.
All right, John Smith?
Aye.
All right, Ross Lemansky, aye, to close the public hearing. All right, do I have a motion to support this at town meeting? Gene? Oh, wait, no, just a motion. Just looking for a motion to, if we, on the table to support it at town meeting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Bill.
Okay,
I'll second it for discussion.
okay. All those in favor?
Well, is there any
for
discussion on it? Yeah.
Any discussion on that? I think they've all been laid out.
Yeah, I think I've made my point clear.
Yeah. All right,
All
all
right.
those,
All right.
John.
Ross. Yeah,
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just not to whip a dead horse here. Not to whip a dead horse here, but just to be sure we're spending money for this diagnostics. And they could come out. They could come back and say this is what it's supposed to be, and but especially with this lot, I mean, there's nothing going to happen. I mean, there's nothing going to happen on this lot for. I think it said 17 years of lease. I think it's 17 years of lease here. So that's reiterating Don's point. We're reiterating Don's point. We're paying for diagnostics, community input, and to see what input really wants to happen on Route 20. Really wants to happen on Route 20. So that's it.
I gotcha.
Well, that's 17 acres on the 12-acre solar parcel. It's, you know, but the rest of the property, you know, there's some things that, you know, that we don't want to wait forever on.
Excuse me, I can make a comment. It's Dan Prouty. What I'm trying to do is get the highest and best use. I think Mr. Kozowski's here with the highest and best use. You know, it's not going to be residential. Look what's around there. Look what's directly across the street. You got the vet, and you've got the building I put up years ago. So
yeah, dispensary.
Yeah. So
all right.
I think they're asking for the highest and best use, and I think that's the job of the planning board.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on the table for discussion. Any more discussion on that from the board? All right. All those in favor, Gene?
Aye.
Don?
No.
Yep. Bill?
Aye.
John Smith?
Nope.
Okay. Ross Lemansky?
Nope.
Aye. Yep. Ross Lemansky, aye. 3-2 support. All right. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Ross.
All right, next up, we have a 720 public hearing zoning bylaw revision on building height. All right, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section A, Chapter 48, Section 5, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, October 7th, 2020 at 7:20 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 8925137709 to consider revising the Town of Charlton zoning bylaws, Section 200.3 intensity regulations to allow a building height over 36 feet to no more than 50 feet under a special permit from the planning board. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/892513777095. Meeting ID 892-5137-7095. Phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of the proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the planning board office and the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted to the town website and the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, Randy, would you like to cover the bases on this one?
Okay, this came up actually as a result of some of the newer applications that we're seeing, discussion with potential applicants for coming in for new projects. And this particularly addresses projects where it might be, say, a warehouse or an office type building that would be taller than the normal 36 feet here in Charlton. And in Charlton, every zone is limited to 36 feet. That was limited years ago, probably by the fire department with the access to it and everything. The two things that happen. One is in today's world, these buildings require sprinkler systems. So regardless of what type of apparatus the fire department has, these buildings are already monitored by their own sprinkler systems. Aside from that, the fire department also has a tower truck, so they have the ability to reach, taller heights on buildings like this. These buildings are more of an appropriate if you were doing a warehouse, distribution type facility, or maybe a larger office building where the typical 36-foot height, which is basically a 2.5-story building, isn't quite what people want. So anybody that would want to build something over the 36-foot height under our current bylaws would have to go before the ZBA for a variance. So in light of what we're seeing to be with more modern times is that I'm proposing that we have a building height that could be up between 36 feet and up to no more than 50 feet if it is approved under a special permit by the planning board, which would give the planning board control over any project that was proposed over the 36-foot height limit. And also, I had sent a news article today, which is part of the other point. I've dealt with this in the past, and I happened to see this news article a month or two ago, and I said this is a perfect example of why I proposed the second part of the bylaw change is to any building that would be exceeding 35 feet would have to be twice the setback of what would be normally required in the zone. So I don't know, Don, can you pull up that? It was a Yahoo News article. I mean, it was about a project that was done in England, and basically it shows what a 60-foot tall building ended up looking like. The white in that first photograph is the actual building behind these houses. So this is a 60-foot tall building, but still it makes the point of why you try to increase the setback so you don't have that negative impact on residential properties. I mean, I believe that it is, something that the town should consider having the taller building height, but in doing so, I think under protection of surrounding residential properties, that we would require an additional setback so that we wouldn't have this type of negative impact on a residential property, or either used currently or zoned for residential, because just because a piece of land is vacant, if it's zoned residentially, where there potentially could be a house, if you had that next to a vacant lot, nobody's going to want to build on it. So by making it either used or zoned residentially, it protects any residential property from a commercial type property going in next door. And we currently have discussions with one where they are with a project where they are intending to go to the ZBA, and we also have other ones where they're proposing. So it's been coming up more and more where buildings, they're not wanting to necessarily exceed 50 feet at all. They're looking, usually it's in the 40-something foot range, but it ends up being taller than the 36-foot height limit. So by allowing a building to go anywhere between 36 to 50 feet and putting it under the control of a planning board under a special permit gives the planning board the ability to say no if they don't think it's done appropriate in a certain location. It doesn't give somebody an automatic, yes, they can do it. It's always going to be left to the control of the planning board to oversee whether it's having a taller building in a particular project is appropriate or not.
All right, thank you for that overview, Randy, and thanks for digging up that article. Couldn't made a good, good to put a picture behind it, the words there. So, I don't know, I think it makes sense. What does the rest of the board think?
Oh, actually, just as an add, as you can see in the language, I also only addressed it for the zones that I would think that would be appropriate in the industrial general, the business enterprise park. You know, any of the other zones, I don't know, wouldn't think it might not be necessarily appropriate. And if somebody was proposing something like that, they should go before the ZBA.
Yeah, you know, I do like the fact that it is planning board special permit requirement. So it's a discretionary thing. If it doesn't fit that location or if it causes a problem, it's not just permitted. So
right.
I'm okay with the wording here.
Gene, you got any comment or anything?
What we're looking at here, the intensity of the use schedule D, this is the way it would read, where they'd still have to come to the planning board from anywhere taller than 36 up to 50 foot to get our approval, correct?
Yeah, under a special permit, not just a site
Under a
plan.
special permit.
It gives you more oversight.
And yet, if we deem that it's in a good area and everything, we can go ahead and approve it up to 50 foot.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I could go along with that.
All right, Bill?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned on the setback increase, but I think that's reasonable.
I mean, typically what that means based on our current bylaws is the setbacks typically between residential and these other zones is 50 feet, and it would increase it to 100 feet. But typically these types of projects are done on larger parcels of land that they typically aren't even close to being 100 feet of a property line. But this just adds protection to any residential property that might currently or be there in the future.
Right. Yeah, I see that. I agree. 100 feet isn't onerous for such a big property as you could envision a taller building on. Yeah.
Right.
All right, John Smith, any comments or questions?
That's good.
Okay.
No, that's good with the special permit. No, that's good with the special permit. That's good.
All right. Is there any comment from the public?
Yes, to the board, Dan Prouty again.
Go ahead, Dan.
Our experience in Sturbridge the last 6 or 7 months, which we got a permit for, they have the same type of bylaw. It's a special permit and site plan review. And they approved 57 feet because it was a freezer building along the turnpike, and the fact that the enclosed within the roof, it had to be extended because of the part of the roof was solar panels, and the other part is the compressors and everything else they put on the roof. So. I mean, I think I don't know if they had a limit, but it might have been up to 60 feet. But the other thing that I see is, I do a lot of business with Goya Foods up and down the East Coast. What we're seeing now is, robots or automatic, it's like an elevator for the pallets that go up and down. So basically what you do, it's, you need less of a footprint, which is a more green space, helps them with their stormwater management and a lot of other reasons. That's why they're going higher, because you don't have people up there. They're sprinkled and so that seems to be the market right now, is distribution. More people are buying online than, I think it's just about tripled because of the pandemic, but the people that never ordered online before, the percentage of people over 60 that are using their computers instead of going to the supermarket and fighting traffic has increased threefold. So that's just what I've been learning lately. I don't learn a lot, but I learned some things.
All right. Nice. All right, anything else from the public? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Anything else from the board before I put a motion on the table to close the public hearing? All right, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion, we close this public hearing.
All right, we have a second?
Second that. Bill
All right.
Fontaine.
All those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John Smith?
Aye.
Ross
Aye.
Lemansky, aye. All right, do we have a motion to support this at town meeting?
I'll make that motion to support this at town meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all right, all those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Yeah, that's right. Don Clay?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John Smith?
Aye.
That was an aye, I take it. Ross Lemansky, aye. All right, the vote. Unanimous. All right, next up, public hearing, zoning bylaw revision on parking spaces. All right. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, October 7th, 2020 at 7:25 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 892513777095 to consider revising the Town of Charlton zoning bylaws, Section 200.4.2, off-street parking and loading, to amend parking requirements for warehouses, distribution, and storage buildings. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing a strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/892513777095. Meeting ID 892-513-7095. Phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of the proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the planning board office at the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website and the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, Randy, would you like to give us a quick overview?
Yes, this actually came into play with when we've been discussing with potential applicants on warehouse distribution and manufacturing and storage. Based on our current bylaws, the way they work is typically it's a space of every 250 or 300 feet, which when you come to the types of uses for as listed here, you end up getting a far larger number of parking spaces than you actually need. We was working with one facility where the amount of parking spaces based on the square footage of the building was going to be enormous based on, and typically these facilities are designed for warehousing, even distribution facilities. It's not full of employees, it's more full of equipment and goods and goods and whatever they have there for storage. So the number of employees isn't necessarily equate to the size of the building. I can't say I figured this out for myself. I worked with Mike Andres from Graves Engineering because he's actually been dealing with this in some other towns such as Worcester and Uxbridge, where they are having the same types of facilities and their parking requirements were just burdensome based on the types of uses that were, being proposed as listed here. So with working with Mike is that he actually provided the uses that his company and the other towns had come to find that they thought were reasonable uses based on the types, the reasonable amount of parking based on the types of uses. Manufacturing, you typically have a few more employees. So right now it'd be one for every 250 feet. This is going to make it one for every 1,000 feet for a manufacturing type use. Warehousing, storage, distribution would be one per every 3,000 square feet. This is actually what currently the town of the city of Worcester has, and the town of Uxbridge is either has implemented it or is about to, because they've agreed to the same type of requirements. These uses still are considered more appropriate for these, because when you get a hundreds of thousand square foot building, and then you have to get at 250 square feet per a parking space for every 250 square feet, it requires an enormous amount of parking that you'll never use, based on the number of employees that will actually work in the building. So using these guidelines reduces the more of the required parking. And then if anybody wanted to do less than that, they still have the option to go to ZBA. Right now, if somebody came in with a very large building and they had to meet the parking requirements, say at 250 square feet, one spot per 250 square feet, they would have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. This won't eliminate everything, but it will eliminate, a number of them where, it's more reasonable equation on determining how much parking should be required for a particular use.
All right, thank you, Randy. I think it makes sense. Making the square feet go up per parking spot. Less impervious material, especially when it comes to drainage and being quote unquote green. So.
Well, that's the second benefit too. It does reduce the amount of impervious area, which also reduces the amount of stormwater measures that are required and everything. So they don't just pave a big, asphalt parking lot that isn't needed.
Right.
Yep.
Anyone have any comments or questions? Jean?
No, I'm fine.
All right, Dawn?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Bill?
Okay.
All right, John Smith?
All set.
All right. All right, do we have, is there anyone from the public that wants to comment? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Do you have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right.
Second that motion.
All right, all those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John Smith?
Aye.
All right, Ross Massey, aye. All right, do we have a motion to support this at town meeting?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we support this change to parking bylaw at the town meeting.
All right.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
All right, Ross Massey, aye. It's unanimous. All right. No more reading.
I know on the warrant it has, that the planning board supports this or doesn't support that.
Yep.
On the ones that were sort of close, could we put the vote in that it was a 3-2 vote, that it wasn't unanimous?
Randy, that'd be is there a possibility to do that?
If there is a way to do it, I'd like to see that.
I think the latest version of that was sent out that's going to be for town meeting, I don't know if Andrew was on the meeting. I don't know if he's still here, but that they were, because I was not sure about how the 2 zoning map changes would go, that it was supposed to be given at the town meeting in the warrant.
Okay.
It was going to be published so that the planning board, somebody from the planning board will obviously have to represent the board at the town meeting, but for the 2 map changes, it was to be given at the town meeting. So that would probably be the appropriate time to say, you know, we have by a 3-2 vote, or however, you know, you want to word it, that the planning board supported the motion for the 2 map changes.
All right.
All right, man. All right, moving along. We got a continued public hearing for Gunther LLC with the reduced frontage lot and common driveway special permit reapproval on Carroll Hill Road.
Yes, this one, I have been waiting. The engineer had been in, that they plan to withdraw this application and submit a different application for a subdivision. I told him I needed it in writing. He said he would get it to me. I still have not received it in writing that he's officially withdrawing the application. So at this time, I would just recommend that we continue it to our October 21st meeting.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to continue the public hearing for Gunther LLC reduced frontage lot and common driveway special permit reapproval on Carroll Hill Road till October 21st?
So moved.
Second, Don Clay.
All right. All those in favor, Gene?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ross? Aye. All right, moving on to Planning Board Administration. We got Mike Pham, Ponican Hill Definitive Subdivision Plan and annual extension request for High Crest Road.
Yes, actually, I don't know if you recall, or the board members that were here, that it was High Crest Road where they had to add a cul-de-sac to the end of it, temporary cul-de-sac, but it may become permanent. But and then also repair of a detention basin on Henry Vista Lane. All the detention basin work has been done, and most of the work's been done on High Crest Road. But just for the sake that it's not quite finished, I recommended that he ask for an additional extension. He plans to get it done either this fall or next spring. It's looking more like next spring, but it is almost complete. It's just that I thought he should ask for an extension just to give him enough time so he didn't run into any approval problems from the board.
Now, is he set? I don't remember the last time he was in. Wasn't he unable to get any driveway permits?
Oh,
from
that's all been resolved because the work has been done. So now all building permits are being issued for all the homes over there. So they're good to go now. So
perfect.
So what happens when he builds these homes, gets an occupancy, and then decides he doesn't want to put in the cul-de-sac anymore? Are we covered there?
No, the cul-de-sac is in. It's just got the base coat on it. It doesn't have the finish coat. They know that they can't get COs on the. They got COs on the first 2 houses, but they can't get them on the other ones until Jerry Foskett, our highway supervisor, is satisfied with the work in the cul-de-sac.
Okay, just want to make sure we're covered.
Yeah, got leverage.
I don't want to deal with Jerry.
Do we have a motion to extend the Ponican Hill Definitive Subdivision Plan annual extension request for High Crest Road?
Yeah, it'll be till 10/23/21. Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem. To 10/23/2021.
I'll make the motion. So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. You want to the Bill or Gene? All right. All those in favor, Gene?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ross? Aye. All right. All right. We got any business unknown at time of posting?
Actually, I have 2 items that were just brought to me literally yesterday. So one of them is, I don't know how many of the board members have been involved it, but the McKissick's own property on Griffin Road, where they have a number of uses going up there. In 2017, they had a building burn, one of their repair garages. And the 2-year period for them to replace it has run out. So the questions come up with the building commissioner, Kurt Meskis. You know, they actually want to replace it in the same location with a little bit smaller building. If you go by the letter of the bylaw, it would say that he needs to get site plan approval, but it's for an existing building. So he was requesting that the board not required to get a site plan approval because nothing's changing on the site except he's replacing an existing building. He said that he had to deal with the insurance company and then COVID as well, as far as getting everything squared away where you get the financing for the new building, which is why it took longer than the 2 years. But I said I would present it to the board. It's, you know, up to the board to make that decision, not me. So.
Now, is the 2 years a town bylaw?
It's a, yes, they have to replace it within 2 years. And I guess he never applied for a permit or anything because he didn't know. He had all his insurance to deal with and everything. So until he knew what he was getting insurance, I don't think he knew what he could do as far as financing a new building.
So there's going to be no use change and no footprint change.
Right. It's actually going to be a smaller footprint because he can't afford to build the same size building. So he's going with a smaller one. It was the original building was 80 by 80. This new building he's proposing is 60 by 80 in the same footprint, but it's actually a smaller footprint by that. If you look at I'm trying to get my bearings here. It is, I believe, the building that is right across from the cul-de-sac on Griffin Road. You see the loop portion.
Is that where the cursor is?
What's that?
No, go further down.
If you go Griffin Road, and it has a cul-de-sac with a little circle on it.
Yeah, come right further down.
Right across from it there's a building. You see the roof of a brown building?
Right there, Don.
That's
this one here?
Building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that building burned in 2017. And now that's the building he wants to replace. And what he's proposing to do with the building commissioner is to make it shorter so it's actually going to be further away from Griffin Road, the new building. It'll be just as wide as shown in this picture, but it's going to be 20 feet shorter on the length going towards Griffin Road.
Okay.
So I said I would bring it to the board, but it's completely up to the board of whether you determine he needs to get a site plan approval to replace that building. Yeah, I think this is after the building burned. You can see some cars and remnants right there. The building's gone now. Yeah, that square is where it was, and now it's no longer there because it burned down.
Yep, gotcha.
There's a repair facility for large trucks, and I believe it's going to continue to do that. Be a repair facility.
What's the board think? I mean,
if it's the same use, I've got no opposition to it.
Yeah, I don't either. Bill?
Yeah, same use, same footprint, setback farther, not a problem.
Gotcha. Gene?
I agree with everybody else, especially if the setback is back further.
All right. John?
Oh, I'm good. That's fine.
All right, Randy, he really doesn't need it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the second item is actually across the street on 4 Sturbridge Road. Now that Don's got this map up.
Yeah.
You're the man, John.
It's the best.
But actually, we had a pre-construction meeting at 4 Sturbridge Road, which for the board members that were here, is for the storage facility for Ralph Nichols.
Yeah.
he has, because of COVID and everything, he wants to get started on the site work. He had to get some issues ironed out with the wetlands and the Conservation Commission. A part of his proposal was to tie into the storm drain for Route 20. It has been, you know, the Mass DOT has been working partially remote. They just haven't been able to get an answer from Mass DOT. So at our pre-construction meeting, he's not looking to get building permits or anything. He's just looking to get his site work started. But one of the conditions in the planning board decision was that no work can be done prior to the, no permits can be issued and no notice to proceed could be issued until all items are addressed. And he can't get the Mass DOT approval yet. Mike Andrade was at the meeting as well, and he had no issue with allowing him to do that. But again, because it was a condition of the approval that it should be the board to allow him to only do site work, I told him that we would not grant any building permits until we have approval from Mass DOT.
Now, I forgot, what was Plan B if DOT told him no, we couldn't tie into that stormwater drain?
Well, what it is he, up at the front of the property by Route 20, he's proposing a detention basin, and then the overflow of that detention basin is to tie into Route 20. And if for some reason Mass DOT doesn't let him, then he has to come up with an alternative, either a larger basin or direct the water someplace else. Mike Andrade is comfortable that if he had to go with a larger basin or something, he could. But in case Mass DOT, for whatever reason, says no, he can't get an answer one way or the other from Mass DOT because a lot of them are working remotely as well. And
yeah.
So, but Mike Andrade felt comfortable that he could, if Mass DOT for whatever reason doesn't allow him to do it this way, there's alternatives for him.
All right. How does everyone on the board feel about that? Let them start on some dirt work while waiting to hear from DOT on this.
Yeah, the biggest thing is he's got to deal with the wetlands issues in the back based on what he's required to do with the Conservation Commission. The rest of this area is basically flat already, you know.
I was just say they've done all the site work at the top to level it off, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So it's in the back there where they had that retaining wall that went into the wetlands. That's what they have to address at this time.
You know, I know DOT's pretty hard to work with and pretty hard to get in touch with, but I don't know.
But he's got approval from our conservation committee, posted with the DEP, and has that approval already?
Yeah, he actually just went back because they had to do a couple of revisions, and last month he got an approval for the revisions from the Conservation Commission. And then their peer review was also on site yesterday at the pre-construction meeting to determine everything that they were doing. And he's in agreement that there's no issue with them doing the work, and he'd actually rather see it done now than later, as far as to prevent any soil erosion or anything in the rear of the property where the retaining wall is in the wetlands. He'd rather see the mitigation done now.
All right. Gene, you have any thoughts?
I would think he should put that pond up. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, John. You were speaking.
Chair,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I would think he would need to get that pond in as ASAP, because if he didn't hear from the Mass DOT now, if something happened and he had some type of water issue, he would surely hear from them if the water went down or mud went on to Route 20. So
yeah,
I would think that would be his first order of business, to get that pond in order.
Yeah, well, that's his intent. He does want to get that in place because it's big and flat and bare to earth up there. So he's got to get something to contain it should there, you know, we actually get some rain or something. So, but that's it. He wants to design it. He wants to build it as it was designed on the plan, but he's going to proceed at his own risk. That he will, and I would make sure that, you know, I put it in writing that he's proceeding at his own risk. So should Mass DOT come back and say, no, you can't do it, he would have to revise his plan and come back to the board for the revision, particularly to make sure that Mike Andrade reviewed it.
So before he starts any more construction up there, that pond is going to be in place, or at least.
Yeah, the detention basin, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Mike Andrade requires that of him.
Okay.
All right, Gene, you have any questions or concerns?
No, just as long as he understands that, you know, he can't build anything, but I see no reason why he can't get the ground ready and, you know, comply with conservation. You know, let him go ahead and do that. But I know sometimes people get carried away. We just sort of have to make sure he doesn't.
Right. Well, that's why I'm a firm believer, just as well as the last one that we just discussed, is to give it to them in writing exactly what we're allowing them to do, so they can't come back in 6 months like, oh, you told me I had to go ahead. You know, I'll spell it out in detail about what they can and can't do, so that we don't, you know, something doesn't fall through the cracks. We're all on the same page.
Yeah, Randy, can you spell that out and get that to us, and we can take a look at it in the next meeting and vote on it? Is that acceptable?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Yeah, good idea, Don. Bill, you have any input or anything?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Would you like any input from Mike Andrade on that one, or do you think it's necessary at this point on 4 Sturbridge Road? I mean, he wouldn't be involved in the other one, but.
Yeah. You know, I remember the plan vaguely, and there was a detention pond on the bottom. Why did he want to tie into the town, so that he didn't need that, or that he didn't need a bigger one? What
didn't need a
issue?
bigger one, because you have to deal with the overflow.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. So pretty much, Randy, you're gonna lay it out specifically what's allowed during this stage while the applicant's in waiting to hear from DOT on whether or not you can tie into that stormwater basin or not.
Right. And
okay. And then we'll vote on it on the 21st.
Right. Yeah, and most importantly, they're proceeding at their own risk. So, you know, they're the one. If they want to move forward, it's DOT changes their mind, and it's on them.
Gotcha. All right. Do you have anything else, Randy?
We just got to make sure that there is a planning board member that will speak for the planning board at the town meeting on Tuesday.
They can make a motion to nominate Ross.
I'm thinking in my head when my wife.
Second that motion.
It's lonely at the top.
Very quickly.
My wife's working or not. We'll have to figure something out. But yeah, sure. Yeah, because how many articles are on the warrant?
4.
6? Yeah, it's a quick one, right?
Oh, yeah. 4 for us, yeah.
Yeah, the fall one usually goes quick anyway.
I plan to be there, so if somebody needs something, I can.
Yeah, all right, perfect. All right, is there anything else?
That's it. And we'll have a busy meeting on the 21st too, but won't be quite as bad as this one.
All right. Not as many public hearings, last reading, right?
Right.
All right. Does anyone else have anything come up or anything that they want to bring forward?
I'm trying to get just for full disclosure, I'm trying to get a property that I just bought, an A&R, and trying to get it into this October 21st meeting. I don't know if we'll be able to get it in on time, but
all right,
we'll be in front of the board with next couple of meetings. Quicker, I hope.
If you get in the next week or so, you should be okay, but it's it's getting busy, so I don't know where they're at with it, but if you have one, you think they'll have it done next week, by the end of next week, or you don't know?
Yeah, I'm pushing. I'm hoping.
All right. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second that.
All right.
Oh, through the chair, Ross.
Go right ahead, John.
Yes, I have to apologize. My my inner thoughts came out. My speaker phone in my car is on also, and I was unaware of that. So
Hey, that's all right. It happens. Emotions
I
got the best
more
of
than
Emotions got the best of you. We'll call it that. Let's hope Drew can.
Oh no,
help you out.
it's just I spend a lot of days in this car yelling at myself, so it did come out. I apologize for that. But,
It happens.
and
We're
it
human.
was very unprofessional, and the power is out. It's a cold night here in 136 Dressel Hill Road, so
Well,
everybody have a good evening.
hopefully to be back on soon.
Yeah, let's hope so for you guys that don't.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big tree that came down right there at the base, right at Flint Road. It had to be about
Oh.
oh my God, a 100-year-old oak tree just across all the wires.
Ooh.
Not good.
Yeah,
Good.
I hear a lot of generators out there too, John. I'm right by South Charlton Reservoir. It's all pretty dark over there. So.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right. All those in favor to adjourn. Gene.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
John Smith.
Aye.
Ross Massey. Aye. All right. You guys take care. Have a good rest of the week.
All right. See you guys.
Okay, good night.
Yep.
Aye.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Dawn, again. For doing
No
everything.
problem. My pleasure.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right.